Hello, movie friends. Welcome to There Will Be Movie Reviews podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Holmes, and today with me, I have the great Arshak. Arshak, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to truly be on this podcast. I've been, I tried, I was spamming, the comments and the DMs, begging to get on the show, and I finally got on the show, and it's a pleasure to be on. And we're talking about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy.
That,
So yeah.
yeah, yeah, that is correct. Probably it's this original trilogy kind of branched out to the superhero universe and got it more serious. You could argue that maybe say the original Batman from 1989 started that, or X-Men, or maybe even Blade. But this had the most biggest box office success with Spider-Man 1. And so I think that's why we're going to be talking about these three uh great movies. And but yeah, so we'll go into a little bit deeper introduction into that. But before we start, we're going to start off with the movie news. So, Marvel Studios, speaking of Marvel movies, Marvel Studios has announced the release dates for its next 10 movies this Monday, laying out a menu geared at satisfying superhero fans, pent up demand well into 2023. So, first off, we have Black Widow for July 9th this year. Then Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, September 3rd. Eternals, which is coming in November 5th. Spider-Man No Way Home, which I'm so excited for, December 17th. Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness is March 25th, 2022. Thor Love and Thunder, May 6th, 2022. Black Panda Wakanda Forever, which will be July 8th, 2022. The Marvels, November 11th, 2022. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which is February 17th, 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is May 5th, 2023. And Fantastic Four, which is to be determined. Arshak, what are you most excited for out of those 10 movies?
Top three has to be, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man 3, and of course, Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for Spider-Man No Way Home. That's going to be great
Yes.
because bringing back the old guys, they got Doc Ock,
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx as Electro, and
Yeah.
rumored to be Andrew Garfield and Tobey
Tobey
Maguire.
Maguire.
Oh, that's going to
Yeah.
be awesome. But yeah, I'm very excited for that. But
Oh yeah.
that I guess we'll end it there with the news for today. But let's just get right into it. So, first movie on the list is Spider-Man, which came out in 2002. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. So the stars Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Willem Dafoe, Rosemary Harris, J.K. Simmons, Cliff Robertson, and Joe Manganiello. And this film was directed by Sam Raimi and written by David Coep. And it was nominated for 2 Oscars, including Best Sound and Visual Effects. So let's get right into this. This film, they kind of had a controversial casting decision by casting Tobey Maguire. So how do you like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man? We'll start off
Uh
there.
yeah, sure. I think he's pretty damn good. He's probably my favorite live action Spider-Man so far.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
I have a little bit of debate there because I think personally, my idea or like look at these three movies, I love them, but the one flaw I think is Tobey Maguire. To me, he seems, he's kind of, got that childish baby face. And as said by James Franco during filming, he said he was a frog-like man because he had frog-like features, which I always thought was pretty funny. But personally, I think Tom Holland, in my mind, is the best, just because he's also younger. When they filmed this, Tobey Maguire was 27 years
Yeah.
old, so that's another uh, thing that kind of sets me off for that. But he's also another thing. Some of the acting isn't always the greatest. There's a couple scenes in the beginning where he's, like MJ's about to like kiss him, and he just like for some reason like flutters his eyes all weird and looks like a creepy pedophile in that in it. But like that's just my point of view for that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you can debate it too. But uh it starts off the film. What I really love is the intros. If you watch the intros, they're like
Oh yeah.
big, and so whereas they just have the title and like the producers and who stars in the movie, and then that's it. But this has this big sequence with the song and visual effects
Yeah.
all around, which really sets you in the mood for the film. And how do you like that? Because I personally love that part of the
Yeah,
film.
the intros are great. It's just my one flaw with them is that they're a little too long.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit. It's the same problem I have with the Batman '89 intro. That goes on for a little long. It's like zooming around the Bat logo for a while. It's like let's get to the actual movie, right? But no, they
Yeah.
they look great. They look great.
Yeah, the difference, yeah, totally agree. They are a little bit long. I do, the score is great too. They got Danny
Yeah.
Elfman for the first one. They changed it for the second and third, but yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. It starts off with Peter, having his little narration,
Yeah.
saying, "Who am I? Just that's me, the guy following the bus." But the thing that I always found hilarious is Peter Parker's a fucking loser in this
Oh
movie.
yeah. Oh
He
yeah.
is like, nobody likes him. Even nerds hate him. Like there's a nerd girl
Yeah.
that won't even let him
Right.
sit
Yeah.
beside him.
Yeah.
I'm just like, damn, this guy's like got no friends. Even the bus driver is like,
The bus driver laughs when
I
when he's trying to
know.
catch up to the bus.
Yeah, he's not even like allowed to sit beside like the fat guy
Yeah.
eating
No
the
one
donut.
wants
Like
him. No one wants
nobody
him.
wants him. Yeah. And for some reason, Harry's also his friend though, even though Harry's like this like,
Yeah.
rich snobby guy, and that's his best friend in the
It's
movie.
also with Harry. It's also they sort of make it out that Harry is also kind of like a loser a bit.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird.
I know. Yeah,
Uh,
I know what you mean. Yeah, totally. It's because he those two kind of have their own relationship
yeah.
together, whereas like everyone else is just like, screw Peter Parker and Harry
Yeah.
Osborn. They're losers and for no
Yeah.
reason. But I also another thing about this film is I think the villain is really good.
Oh, he's
Um,
great.
Willem Dafoe playing Norman Osborn. The thing I love is the transformation scenes. I always love those. Like I've got like a little I love those in any film. When you
Mm,
see like a character transform into something
right.
else, and so when he's has that transformation, it's so cool and neat.
Yeah.
And another thing that's about that character, Willem Dafoe plays as Green Goblin. He actually looks like a goblin. Like he has a
He looks
facial
like a
features.
goblin. Yeah.
He does, yeah.
He's a scary
And
looking guy.
I know, yeah. He is a weird looking guy, and he's got the another thing they did. They actually put prosthetic teeth in his
Really?
mouth for some reason. Yeah, well, or, Willem Dafoe. He's like kind of the infamous gap tooth.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
whereas in this they actually closed his teeth together, which I was like, I guess maybe that like because he's also a very wealthy man in this too.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
want to get that perfect
I
look,
mean,
kind
Willem
of.
Dafoe is a wealthy man as well, but he hasn't fixed that or
I,
done.
I know, yeah, yeah. Another thing that I found funny about this, just quickly before we move on to next topic, but is the teacher is also so weird. The guy at the beginning
Yeah.
of the film, he's like this quiet. The way he speaks to the students is like, "If I see you talking to another person again, you will not be going to the next segment," or whatever he's saying. I don't
Yeah,
know what it was, but
he'll
he's
fail them or whatever. But it's like, yeah, he gives us this very strange vibe. It's like it's got that like a little psychotic vibe.
yeah.
Guys, it's like also he looks like the same age as the students.
And that's what I was saying
It's
too.
pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of an aspect of these films is that they're very, very corny and cheesy, but they're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
They're no
yeah,
matter what, you're always having a great time watching
yeah,
this trilogy. But if we want to move on, we can move on to Spider-Man's transformation and his character
right.
development too within this first one, because it's that's a pretty big important part of this film. Is it's mainly just the birth of Spider-Man and how he's
Mm,
created and how he's able to control his responsibilities. And I think that's executed very well in this film,
yeah,
because they use that idea of that comparison. Uncle Ben uses the comparison, how he's a teenager, so he's going through changes, whereas Peter's actually going through a separate amount of changes, becoming
Yeah.
Spider-Man and dealing with these new responsibilities. And so it's almost like Uncle Ben knows kind of that what he's dealing with, but and that's why he says the quote, "With great power comes great
Right.
responsibility," the famous quote that everyone
Of
knows and loves.
course. Iconic.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel about that infamous quote? Like, how do you like it?
It's great. I mean, I highly doubt you can find a person on the planet who say, I don't like that line. I don't like it. It's
Yeah,
just too iconic. It's
it
great.
is. It is, yeah. Like Cliff Robertson, who plays Uncle Ben, he does a great job at being that
He is, yeah,
mentor
he's
for
great.
Peter. And it's too bad. And I think the death of Uncle Ben, causes him to, you know, take justice into the world and become a responsible
Yeah.
superhero or guardian over these civilians of New York City. And that's what and they do a great job at that, because it happens pretty quickly in the film. It happens at around like half an hour into the film already, and he's dead, and then he's Spider-Man. Um, Uncle Ben dies, and then he becomes Spider-Man, and then he has to deal with uh, the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Next question: how do you like Mary Jane Watson? How do you feel about her
No,
character?
there are a lot of people who don't like Mary Jane in these movies, and I understand. But to be fair, okay, this is kind of talking about the other movies, but I think she only ever starts being annoying in the third movie. In the
Yeah,
third movie, she's pretty horrible. But in these first two, I think she's fine. I think when people overreact when they're like, "Oh, she's horrible. I hate watching it." It's like maybe you calm down a little. It's not that bad.
yeah. I think, well, the reason 'cause I personally am not a fan, but I think the reason is because I, enjoy uh Gwen Stacy's character in the Amazing
Well, yeah,
Spider-Man,
she's
those
great.
two
Yeah,
ones. What's her name? Emma Stone, who plays her
yeah,
in with Andrew Garfield, and I think they're also a great duo together too. They have really really good chemistry. Whereas in these two, Tobey
yeah.
Maguire
It's
and
kind of
Kirsten
awkward.
Dunst, it's not the greatest chemistry.
Yeah,
They don't have
yeah,
similarities. Whereas Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, they're both like their characters are both nerdy, and they're kind of
yeah,
they're really really smart, and they're kind of on the edge, and which is what you can understand. And also at the time they were dating too, the
yeah.
actors, so you can see why their
Yeah,
chemistry might be
yeah. The
better.
relationship between Gwen and Peter was one of the few redeeming qualities of those movies.
Yeah,
Other
that
than that, you don't have much.
that's
But
yeah, that's for another podcast to talk about
yeah,
those two.
yeah.
But yeah, totally.
But yeah,
Um,
they really are awkward. Uh, Peter and Mary Jane. It's like it's also weird. Everyone hates Peter other than Mary Jane. It's kind of odd. It's kind of. I mean, they were neighbors. Childhood friends probably, but it's still. I don't know. It's just kind of weird how she's the only one other than Harry, who's also a loser, right? So I mean,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah, there's a lot of there is quite a bit of flaw. There is a few flaws in this trilogy. We can talk about those because we can talk about those when we get to the third one, because
Oh yeah.
it's crazy there. But another funny thing I noticed is Spider-Man's also homophobic in this film too.
Oh, of course, the
or
infamous, the
yeah,
infamous line.
what does he say? Did your husband
Did your
make that
husband?
for you?
That's a cute outfit. Did your husband make it for you? I mean,
You know?
I guess it is a little homophobic, but I don't know. It's just a funny line. It's funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also at the time. It's like
Of
it's
course.
different times too, so yeah.
Yeah.
But you can understand that. It also, yeah, this film does actually have quite, early 2000s vibes.
Oh
They
yeah.
got the even like the logo for it is of Spider-Man just feels very very retro to that time. And the aesthetic of New York City is very, you can just you feel
Yeah.
like you're in there, which is a great job that Sam Raimi does. Um, how do you like, so my next question, how do you like the fight scenes in these movies? Because there's quite a few actually.
Oh
There's
yeah.
the final one I can think of.
There's
uh
no. It's like first it's at the parade, right, with
yep.
Peter and Green Goblin. Then it's the bridge fight, which leads into
Mhm.
the final fight, in, like the abandoned warehouse.
Yes, those
Yeah.
ones are good. And also there's a sequence, a very short one, where there's a burning building, and then
Right.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
goes in and has just a little
Yeah. Yeah.
confrontation
Yeah.
with Green Goblin.
Yeah. The final
They
fight
Yeah,
is so good. It's so good in the first one. It's really great.
that's what I do enjoy the fight sequences because the CGI it's aged okay. There are a few
Yeah,
sequences where you see it's a little bit like a um
with the Green Goblin especially.
yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
bit what's the term? It's a rubbery is like it's like
yeah,
very
yeah,
their motion doesn't isn't always right and
yeah.
correct, but it still looks great because
Oh yeah,
there's great fight sequences. It is a great movie to um begin with, very very simple and easy to understand, and you can appreciate it no matter what, even as it's as there is quite a bit of goofy flaws that happen,
yeah,
that happen in this movie. But I do enjoy also the idea at the end of the film with Mary Jane, where he kind of branches off and it kind of gives a cliffhanger onto the second film of how he can't be Spider-Man and uh, Peter Parker and be in love with Mary Jane because he needs
yeah,
to be able to protect the
yeah,
ones he loves, and he can't do that while being Spider-Man. And that actually branches off to the second one quite nicely.
yeah.
Um, how do you like James Franco's Harry Osborn?
He's with him as well as he's a little iffy. His acting is a little iffy in these movies, but he's pretty good. I
I
think
think,
I think his
yeah,
development from going to I think the conflict. This is also talking about the other movies a bit, but the conflict where he thinks Spider-Man killed his father, but Peter could really easily just explain it off. It's like in the third movie, The Butler. The Butler easily explained it off. The wounds came from
yeah,
his glider and all that, and then immediately he's redeemed. So I don't know why Peter, whenever he's confronted with the whole "oh, you killed my father," he's really like he doesn't give a straight answer. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, it's just say it, man. Just say
yeah,
it. You didn't kill him. Just explain it to him, and that would be over. But
yeah. I know.
yeah,
And another character or scene that I enjoyed of the first Spider-Man is the confrontation, how Norman Osborn has these two personalities, which is
yeah,
pretty interesting because he almost doesn't know. It's like that Jekyll and Hyde type of scenario where he's looking into the mirror and sees this evil villain who wants to destroy Spider-Man and destroy Peter Parker, and whereas Norman Osborn is like, I don't want to hurt anyone, but then he's
yeah,
convinced and he's overruled by the Goblin,
yeah,
and that's a I think that's one thing, just a little aspect of that film that
yeah,
I loved so much. But yeah, it's yeah, it ends off very very well. It ends off with the death of Norman Osborn,
yeah.
sadly. But yeah, before we begin onto the second one, if you don't have anything else to say, I have a few facts. But
Sure, let's hear him.
all right, so this one I thought was so interesting. So Hugh Jackman revealed that he was supposed to have a brief cameo as Wolverine. Jackman actually showed up in New York to film the scene, but the entire plan was scrapped and the crew couldn't get access to the Wolverine costume from the 2000 X-Men
Yeah,
film.
I knew about that one actually, and it's
Oh,
interesting because uh, you know the it's really cool how they were even back then 2002 they were trying to have this big universe with all these
yeah,
characters, right? Um, it's sad that we didn't see it. Also, he was supposed to appear in like the parade scene. I don't know how he
yeah,
would have appeared. I don't know how he would have how having Wolverine there makes any sense. But
yeah.
I would have been fine with it. Seeing Wolverine and Spider-Man, that's great.
Yeah, what I think they would have done? They would have done something similar to what they did in X-Men First Class, where they had the Wolverine cameo, where they just would have seen him maybe like
Oh,
walking around, not helping him out or fighting. Maybe you just see Hugh Jackman like just like give like a little wave or like a little like how you doing, Spider-Man, or
he
something
just
like
turns
that.
to turn to Spider-Man, just gets a little wave and just runs
Yeah,
off with them.
off,
But
yeah.
I mean, if it was something like that, then they wouldn't have needed the costume, right? He
Oh
would have
yeah,
probably like
true.
done some fighting or something. But if he did do
Yeah,
some fighting, then the Goblin would be done for.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. I
Spider-Man and
know.
Wolverine, it's over.
Oh yeah, that'd be a sick combo. Yeah, I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
So at around 22 minutes, the scene in which Peter Parker catches Mary Jane's lunch on the tray, I feel like you might know this
Practical.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it involved no CGI with the help of sticky substance to keep the tray planted on his hand. And eventually, after 156 takes, he performed the stunt exactly as seen. It is
Yeah, I
crazy.
can't
Really.
imagine doing that so many
Whew.
times, man. You must get so frustrated by the end every single time that doesn't work. Oh man,
Yeah.
it's like
Oh
like
man.
it's a great effect. It's a great effect,
It
but
is, yeah.
at that point, you might as well CGI, man. I like, come on, like it's just. I mean,
156, yeah, that's too much.
yeah, it's
Just a
I
time
like the
waster.
dedication and all that, but it just CGI at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah. Another little fun fact, which I found, I thought this was it's not too much, but it's pretty interesting, is it was the first Marvel movie to showcase the flipping pages Marvel logo. I
Oh
thought
really?
that's pretty cool, like because
Yeah,
that's like the original, that's kind of significant in the
yeah,
Marvel universe where you see those, you hear the flipping of the pages and
yeah.
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But um another thing is this is the only film to incorporate the use of DC characters because there's a
Right.
conversation.
And May, you're not Superman. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
It's
I don't know.
interesting.
Was there
Also,
like
in
a
the second
lawsuit?
film,
Yeah, yeah,
in the second film, J. Joe Jameson's guy, like his right hand man or whatever,
yeah.
when they're trying to come up with a name for Doc Ock, he's like Doctor Strange, and then J. Joe Jameson's like, oh, that's taken. We can't do that.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's you have the Doctor Strange multiverse of madness coming out. Maybe you could tie that in with that. That would be really
yeah.
cool.
Who knows? Yeah,
So
I know. And also, they actually when Peter Parker, he's trying to figure out how to work his webbing on his wrist. He says the lines up and away web, which is
right.
quote Superman up and
Also, he
away.
says Shazam when he's
Shazam,
trying to do
yeah.
the web. Yeah.
Captain Marvel or Shazam, yeah.
Yeah.
Which and those were ad-libbed by Tobey Maguire.
Oh, okay.
And my final one. So David Fincher was asked to direct. So his
Oh,
version would have told the origin story in the opening credits and would have been based on the night Gwen Stacy died. So that would have been
that
crazy,
would have been interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Are
feel
you
like that's
yeah.
starting off with that story is a little with the first movie having that. I think that's a little too soon. That works as like a second or third movie type of story, having Gwen die or Mary, whatever. Having like the big love interest die. It didn't work with the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but they were pretty incompetent at making those, so that explains it.
Yeah,
But
you know what I
but yeah,
was, yeah, what I was thinking about David Fincher is like because he's such a controversial director, I guess you could say, Sam Raimi does it much more lighthearted. So I think that's what people were more needed because, to start off and like introduce like this character like Spider-Man into this dark universe of David Fincher, I don't think it would have been the greatest. If
yeah,
they had a few more films, maybe he directed the Amazing Spider-Man franchise. I could have seen
yeah,
that
that would
and
have
seen
worked
that
much better.
work
Yeah,
because it's, you want to introduce that character lightly and slowly, but like having
yeah.
David Fincher would have been a little rough, I think.
Also,
Um,
James Cameron was gonna direct
I didn't
Spider-Man
know
as
that.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, but all right, can move on to the second one, Spider-Man
Let's
2.
go.
It is debatably the best Spider-Man out of the
Yeah, it's great.
franchise.
So good.
Man, yeah. I'm not gonna spoil. We'll leave that for the end. Where we'll
Of
decide which
course,
one's
the
best.
ranking.
But
Yeah.
this is a great
Everyone
one.
already knows. Everyone knows
Everyone
what's
loves
gonna be
this
the
one. Yeah.
best. Like,
So all right, so this film again stars Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Alfred Molina, J.K. Simmons, and Rosemary Harris. It's directed by Sam Raimi, written by Alvin Sargent, story by Alfred Go, Miles Millar, and Michael Chabon. It won one Oscar for Best Visual Effects and nominated for Best Sound Editing and Sound Mixing. So obviously, this film is a step up from its predecessor.
yeah, basically every way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts off the where you already see Spider-Man. He's going through some troubles. He's late for his classes. He can't get the pizzas on time. The
Yeah.
infamous quote, "Pizza time."
Pizza time. Yeah. The
Yeah,
iconic. The iconic
it is
scene.
iconic. Yeah,
It
it
is.
is. And it's yeah, you see his character, actually dealing with the later struggles of how what being Spider-Man is like. You know, you don't have a lot of time for to have a social life. You don't have to, you know, you're always tired. You're late for your classes. You're late for work. Um, you know, he's dealing with struggles, and you can
Yeah.
agree with that. And that's where I think people love this film so much because people can, you know, relate to that character of Spider-Man, and that's what Spider-Man's all about. You know, as
Yeah.
said by Stan Lee, he made him a character for people to relate to. And you know, Spider-Man has the same issues. You know, he gets his the colors all mixed up with the when he's
Yeah.
washing his
Yeah.
clothes, you
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
and that's like an everyday struggle that people have or like
Yeah.
mess up, and that's what he compares it to, say Superman, you know, how Superman, you know, has no flaws, no problems at
Right.
all, whereas Spider-Man is down to earth and relatable, and that's what I
Yeah.
love about this one too, which is it's relatable. I don't know if you can agree, but you can
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah,
When Stanley was making went back before Spider-Man was made and all that. Back then, teenage superheroes didn't, when they did exist, they were just sidekicks. Like
yeah,
Robin, whatever. So when Stanley made the main superhero of the comic a teenager who has problems, money problems, girl problems, school problems, and all that, it was a revolutionary idea. It's just so great. I think that's the one thing that's missing from the MCU movies, that the relatable problems. I don't
yeah.
see a lot of that in Homecoming or Far From Home. And I hope we get more of that in the third movie. There's just like the washing machine accident and then the
Yeah,
second one, right? Like little moments
exactly.
like that makes it so good. It's just awesome.
The thing, yeah, that's another problem with the Spider-Man, or one of the differences between like the MCU Spider-Man franchise with Tom Holland is, you know, he's also, these films are more personal and
Yeah,
develop uh Tobey Maguire's character a lot better because whereas in Spider-Man Homecoming, he's already, you know, girls like him, like, you know,
yeah,
he's got a grade 12 that has a crush on him and wants to take
yeah,
him out on a date, and he's got Ned, his friend. He's, you know, he's a lot more social too in Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home. And whereas in this one he's a lot by himself. He's by himself quite a bit, and you see that happening with his powers as they start to
yeah.
go
He starts to
away.
lose them.
And I think I thought that was just genius. It's such a
Yeah,
genius move, and the idea that not only he's losing his powers or his like mental state as just a regular person, but as a superhero too, he's losing his physical powers also.
yeah.
And I think that's genius that Sam Raimi did that. But yeah, we can discuss a little bit more near the end. But let's talk about Doc Ock.
Oh, let's
Doc
do
Ock.
it.
Okay, so I love Doc Ock in this.
Yeah,
I think he's better than, to me. I think he's better than Green Goblin. And for the sake being that, you know, they're very, very similar, you know, both
yeah,
dealing with like a tragedy and a tragic accident. Both, you know, are a mentor to Peter at times. They also, you know, they've been through it.
girls
A-
being manipulated by some other force.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got it right there. And I love the idea that he's being controlled by these
by the
others,
arms.
and they're
Yeah,
controlling his emotions and how he deals with things. And so um and that's what's so great about this film too, is, you know, he doesn't really want to deal with Spider-Man too much. He just
yeah,
wants to fulfill his creation, but Spider-Man's
yeah.
getting in the way. That's what's
Exactly.
happening throughout this
Yeah,
film. And another character that's big in this film is Harry Osborn, and
yeah,
he's dealing with the death of his father and finding out, and he knows that Spider-Man killed him, or that's what he believes, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's harder for it's you can see James Franco as a character. He is having a struggle, and Harry
yeah,
Osborn is having this big struggle. And even at the party, you know, he's slapping his
yeah.
best friend Peter
Peter. Yeah,
Parker, and he's getting drunk. You know, that's
yeah,
crazy. Oh man, but yeah, I think this is James Franco's best out of the three. Like,
yeah, yeah.
man,
I'd
in
agree.
Spider-Man 3, he just wasn't there.
Yeah,
He
he's
was,
he's done. He's done.
yeah,
He was just there for the paycheck. He's like,
yeah,
just give me the money. I'm done.
exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, you can talk about if you want to go on and talk about, Harry Osborn's character too, like or Mary Jane perhaps. I think she's another character that's
Yeah,
just
Mary
a
Jane was, yeah.
man in this film. I for some reason I just thought she was a jerk to Peter. She messes with his head. Like there's a scene where they're after the party where she's at her dad's house or her house right beside Aunt May's, and she is like manipulating him. She goes from flirting with him and then just out of nowhere saying, "I'm seeing someone." He's like,
Right.
"Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
like him a lot.
Yeah.
I love him," and stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
saying, like asking, like, "Do you love me?" or something like that. And then
Yeah.
just being like, "Oh no, I'm gonna marry somebody else." She just plays with his emotions. Maybe that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
he's losing all his powers. But like that. Um, but yeah, I'm just rambling on here. But
But I understand the problems with Mary Jane in the second film, with her being kind of, kind of an asshole to Peter. But
I
you
know.
know, I also understand to some extent why, because whenever she has like her plays or whatever, Peter's always gone. Whenever they make any plans, Peter isn't showing up. He's Whenever she tries showing interest, like at the end of the first film, Peter just rejects her. He just walks off. He doesn't. From her point of view, Peter doesn't. Peter is a strange guy. At one point, he's like all down to hang out. He's all flirty with her, and
Yeah.
another mood he has is like he's like, I'm good. I can't do it. So to some extent, I kind of understand why she acts the way she does, but still, it's a little overboard
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I think brings this film into proportion and makes it that much better than say the first one and the third one is it has the great finale and a great final scene where everyone, because it's that buildup of, he's lost his powers, what is he going to do, and then finally that train scene where people are, grabbing onto Spider-Man and supporting him,
Yeah.
and that's what he needs to finally get to be, that's why people need Spider-Man, and
Yeah.
they realize that they actually need Spider-Man, and that's what's so great about this. And you need that hero that people look up to. And Aunt May says it best when she's talking to Peter when they're selling their house or when they're moving out of her house, and
Yeah.
she talks about the son, how he or the neighbor, that how he wants, they need Spider-Man, and how he looks up as to this guy as a hero, and she flat out basically almost
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
that Peter
Exactly. She knows. Yeah.
that Peter is a Spider-Man. So she just explained, she's saying, she's just telling him that we need you. And then that train scene where they're lifting him up over
Right.
the and helping him down, and they're welcoming him back, and you're like, oh man, this is great.
Yeah. That's
It's just a
great.
fun movie to watch, and happy to see Spider-Man back. And that's what you love about Spider-Man so much. And
Probably
that's
one of my favorite scenes is uh, before he decides to quit as Spider-Man. He's having like a conversation with Uncle Ben in his head.
yeah.
That's so good. It's
Oh
such a great
man,
moment.
I was thinking about that too. I love that scene where he says,
Yeah.
"Spider-Man no more," and that
Yeah, and then
that's
it
a
cuts to
little,
the suit in the dumpster. The iconic shot. Yeah, it's great.
and it's a tribute to the
The
comic
comic cover. Yeah.
back called Spider-Man No More. That's what it
Yeah.
was called, and I thought that it was great, and that's a
It's
great
great.
sentiment. And that scene with Uncle Ben where they're both like, tears, and it's
Yeah.
emotional there. It's a
Yeah.
tearjerker. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's great. Um, but yeah, in the final scene with any scene with Doc Ock is just so
It's
action
amazing. Yeah.
packed. That's another thing. The action is even better in this
The
film
action is
too.
like great. Yeah.
Yeah. So
The scene with Doc Ock in the surgery room is just so good. It's like gives off these horror
yeah,
vibes. It's genuinely scary.
I don't know if you've seen any of the Evil Dead films that Sam Raimi directed in the '80s, but it's
Yeah.
very very his aesthetic. There's a
Yeah.
film Army of Darkness that he did with Bruce Campbell, and it's very very similar to uh, the the direction that he would do for
Yeah.
those films that he did, and and yeah, it's got that horror aesthetic too. There's no sound, there's no music, just sounds of
Yeah. Yeah.
chainsaws and like just things flying
People
everywhere. People
screaming.
screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's great. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. But before we move on, some more fun facts about Spider-Man 2, of course. But Tobey Maguire's participation was in doubt at one point. Uh,
Jake Gyllenhaal was gonna be
yeah, you got it. Jake
Spider-Man.
Gyllenhaal
Yeah.
was lined up to play Spider-Man and already begun preparation, but Maguire decided to take part after all. However, according to DVD commentary, the "my back" joke after Peter falls from the roof was purely coincidental, as it was written to the script before Maguire's problem arose. How do you think that would have been if Jake Gyllenhaal?
Jake Gyllenhaal Spider-Man. I can't see it.
Oh
I,
man,
I can't really say it. But I mean, I'd have to see it, right? I have to see what he do. But it's so weird how you almost had Jake Gyllenhaal as Spider-Man, and then like fast forward like 10 years almost, a little over 10 years, right? And you have him as Mysterio
yeah.
in Far From Home. So yeah, it's pretty
the
interesting.
the thing is, which is would be difficult to handle, is the difference. I mean, they did it with you know, you know, Michael Keaton and where they had Val Kilmer or George Clooney replace them. It's just I feel, Tobey Maguire is such a character actor, and his performance is very, very iconic. It's not
Yeah,
he has his own portrayal. That's the thing. So it
yeah, you
would have
can't
been
replace it.
you
Yeah,
can't replace it. Whereas Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, Val Kilmer, they play a similar role. There's not too much of a difference in character,
yeah,
them playing Bruce Wayne or even George Clooney.
yeah.
Uh, but I think Tobey Maguire, he's his character already. So Jake Gyllenhaal, though, I could see that. He looks like
He
Spider-Man.
does
Like
look a little bit like Toby though, with
he
the
does
eyes.
also, yeah.
Yeah,
He's got the
yeah,
the big, the baby face like
right.
Toby
Yeah,
do, and so I could have seen it. I think I could have seen it. I would like to see it though. I would like to see that.
it would. Yeah, that would be.
But
We would see
I'm
it. Yeah.
I'm fine with like the trilogy as it is now though.
Right. Yeah. Of
I'm
course.
fine with that.
I much more prefer Toby being in all three movies than being replaced. So
Yeah, yeah. It's untouchable. That's the thing.
it's like if Christian Bale was replaced in the second film and then
Uh,
in the Dark Knight trilogy, like, it just you can't do it. Even if
can't
it
do
would
it.
have been a better actor or a better performance, it just you can't do that, right?
Yeah,
So
same goes for like Hugh Jackman in the
right.
X-Men.
Yeah.
You
I
couldn't
I
do that
can't
too.
imagine. I don't know what they're gonna do with Wolverine, but I don't know. Whoever they get, I don't know. There's going to be a learning curve
Yeah.
with people accepting them as Wolverine because Hugh Jackman, it's like Robert Downey Jr. Or J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. These iconic roles. You can't imagine anyone else as these
Yeah,
guys. So
totally. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so another cool thing, fun fact. If you look closely at Peter's apartment, you can see the picture he took of Mary Jane just before he was bitten by the radioactive spider. And it was supposed to represent the last moment of innocence in Peter's life before it changed forever, and
Right.
became Spider-Man, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also, Willem Dafoe was not originally supposed to return for this movie, but he was walking back to his apartment one night and saw the cast and crew filming nearby. And so he stopped to the set and said hello. And the filmmakers were like, all right, well, we'll give this
Let's
guy a
just have him
cameo.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally what they did. Um, another famous line is, hey, he stole that guy's pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's great. It was
Yeah.
originally Stan Lee doing that cameo,
Oh,
uh,
really?
where but they replaced it because there was a problem with the shot and lighting, I think, and so they refilmed it, and then Lee was given a different cameo to do. But yeah, and then last one. So if you the alley where Peter dumps his Spider-Man suit is actually supposed to be the same one where he kissed MJ upside down in
Oh,
the first film, which I
that's
thought was
cool.
yeah, that
That's
is
very
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so if we want anything else to say about Spider-Man 2,
One thing is
go ahead.
CGI. CGI still holds up in most scenes, and that's that's because there was a lot of practical effects. The arms for Doc Ock, they actually built those arms and have people like puppeteering them around. It's just so great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it won Best Visual Effects at the
yeah,
Oscars, so you can't complain there. It was
yeah.
awesome. All right, next we will move on to Spider-Man
Spider-Man
3.
3.
Oh
Let's do
no.
it.
Oh no. This film is crazy. All right, I'll tell the
Oh yeah.
stars. It is jam-packed with people in this film. So Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Thomas Hayden Church, Bryce Dallas Howard, Topher Grace, James Franco, Rosemary Harris, J.K. Simmons, James Cromwell, are all in this film. And so it's directed by, again, Sam Raimi. This time it was written by Sam Raimi too, and his brother Ivan Raimi, and then also it was edited. The script was edited by Alvin Sargent, who also wrote the first or the second one. So we got to talk about this crazy film.
We gotta talk about it.
It is compared to its predecessors, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. It's an entertaining film. I
Oh
can
yeah.
admit that. It
Like
is
if I
always fun to
had
watch.
to, yeah, if I had to rewatch any of these movies, it'd have to be the third one. You know,
Oh yeah?
it's just so fun to watch. You know, it's just you never get bored. You
You
never
do
get
not
bored
get
of the
bored.
third movie. You know.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's already though at the very beginning, for me, I was already cringing. He has that monologue where he goes, "That's me. People love me. I'm Spider-Man. I've got a
Yeah.
great life. It's for some reason he's just so cringy in this. He's just
Yeah,
I
Toby
can't
kind
watch.
of. I feel like most of the actors kind of phone it in this one.
Yeah,
Other than
you can see it. Yeah,
the actor for Sandman, I thought Sandman was good overall. I think he's probably like one of the only good things about this.
that's what I was gonna say.
Sandman's good, yeah.
When I was watching this, I was like, damn, you feel sentimental for this character. He's Thomas Hayden Church, who played him. He tried to compare his role and portray a similar role to Frankenstein or King Kong. A person that doesn't want to hurt anyone but is forced into this lifestyle. Just he wants to protect his daughter and get money for his daughter, and you feel for him. That's great. And there's
Yeah,
even a scene.
transformation scene
Yeah.
where
Oh
he
my
starts
God.
forming. It still looks great. Still looks
It
amazing.
does. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
talk about
great.
that in a minute. But
Sure.
before we do that, we can talk about Spider-Man to begin with in this film, and Peter Parker's character. And the one thing about this is just he's so oblivious, and he is an idiot. He is just
He is an
he
idiot.
he's a jerk to Mary Jane when he's
Yeah.
just like saying, Spider-Man, the press, they're always on me. I get that
Yeah.
feeling too, Mary Jane. He's like,
Just kisses Gwen right in front of her.
oh yeah, he
Yeah.
basically he pretty much cheated on her, like right there,
Yeah.
then and there. Like, oh man, it was terrible. And then
Yeah.
he's flirting with these other girls, and he's with Gwen Stacy, and then he's
Yeah.
also he just doesn't understand. And then he's also another thing I didn't like about this is he didn't even get into shape, Tobey Maguire, for this
Oh
film.
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
He's kind
And
of chunk.
you see it like before I knew about that, I didn't really notice anything
Yeah,
about that. But you kind of like after you find out about it, you kind of see it. You
you
kind of
do.
see it. Yeah.
I know I knew. I looked. You look at him, and there's not a single shot. Like in the first one and the
Yeah, you
second
don't
one.
see him like shirtless or
Yeah,
anything.
there's
Yeah.
a shirt. There's all shirtless scenes, where he's showing
Yeah.
off the new Spider-Man bod in the first one
Yeah.
too. But in this one, they only show up to here. I noticed. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, they're not trying to show his beer belly or
Yeah.
whatever's going on down there. Um, but yeah, in this film, they're trying to. They had too many villains. That's the thing. It was jam packed with too many different
Yeah.
storylines going on. You have
Yeah.
Sandman, you have Venom, and you also
And then
have
Harry.
Harry, and then you also have the idea of Spider-Man against himself. He's dealing with
Yeah.
his own version or personality, dealing with
The
the
symbiote.
symbiote Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there are too
and
many storylines for a 2-hour movie.
yeah,
There's too much going on. There's too
there
much.
is a lot going on, and also he's dealing with Mary Jane at the same
Yeah.
time, and then also Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy is
Yeah,
irrelevant.
she's useless.
She's
She's
useless to the
useless.
plot. She's
Yeah.
so irrelevant to the
She does
plot.
nothing. She's in like 3 scenes at most. And those scenes,
I know.
there was in the office building in the beginning. Great action scene, by the way. The
Yeah.
office scene at the beginning. Then it's the celebration for Spider-Man. Then it's the bar scene, which is a very interesting scene. It's a very interesting scene. The bar scene.
Oh, we
But
can talk about
yeah,
that soon. Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing about this. Yeah, there's a lot. There's too much to talk about. Honestly, like
yeah,
there's so much about this film that is just crazy and ridiculous. And I feel bad for Sam Raimi because I think what he had to deal with is the studio just on his
yeah.
back, to
They're
get
like, you
more
have to have
villains in.
Venom.
Yeah,
You
that
have to
was
have
another
Venom in
thing.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had he needed. Yeah, they were on his back.
Yeah,
Yeah, on
originally
his.
he wanted Vulture and Sandman only, and
Yeah,
Harry obviously.
yeah.
But then the studio's like, no, you got to. Everyone loves Venom. The fans want Venom. You got to do Venom. So, and then look how it turned out. So, yeah,
Yeah, man. It's yeah. I wouldn't say it like it did not come close to ruining the trilogy.
oh
That's for
yeah.
sure. It didn't do that. But is it still is pretty goofy. It's
But
pretty
I
terrible.
can, even with the Venom we got, I can sort of see what he was trying to do. He's like the polar opposite of Peter, right? It's Peter
Hmm.
if Uncle Ben never died, basically. He's this asshole guy. He's flirting with all these girls. That's sort of Peter in this movie anyway. But still, he's like the other side of the coin, basically. It's like two sides of the same coin. You got Spider-Man, you got Eddie.
Yeah.
But still, it's just he's not developed enough. He's so one note. Spider-Man, is rude to him, and he was a little asshole. He was a big asshole to him, right?
Yeah.
But after that, the first thing he does is go to church and beg God to kill him. It's like maybe that's a little too far. You did lose your job, maybe you did steal your girl, but maybe wishing for his death is a little too far.
And look where it got him. It just got him
Yeah,
into Venom
yeah.
and then dead at the
And
end.
then he pulls him out. He saves him, but then he still jumps back in and dies.
Oh
It's like, what are
man.
you doing? What are you doing, man?
It makes sense though because he's obviously being an idiot, but in the movie he's an idiot too.
Yeah,
He's even more of a loser than Peter Parker is in the first one. He's like got like the frosted tips. He's
yeah.
Topher Grace is like he's not that like whereas like Eddie Brock in the comics he's this jacked
Oh, he's
dude.
this
He's
huge guy,
huge,
man.
scary
Yeah.
dude. Whereas in this he's just like he's pathetic and wimpy and
Yeah,
he's just like
originally Eddie
he,
was going to be in Spider-Man 1. They actually filmed the scene
oh yeah, that'd
where
be
where he
cool.
was in, and yeah, I only saw like one picture a while back, but the guy they actually got for Eddie for the first movie, he was actually like a pretty big guy.
Yeah,
He was
that's
actually
what you
pretty
need.
jacked. Yeah, even it goes back to the parallel between Peter and Eddie, right? Peter is also kind of a lanky guy, so
Yeah.
I kind of understand having Venom be the skinny sort of uh evil Spider-Man, but
Hmm.
still, I still don't think it works. With the new Venom movie that came out, having him as this huge guy, I think was the right way to go with that.
There you go.
So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They did it a very good job with Venom.
yeah,
But yeah, so this film again is you got like the whole he's dating Mary Jane at this point. He's got a decent relationship. It just goes downhill like
yeah,
basically from the beginning. Uh Harry's also got amnesia, which is just
yeah.
ridiculous.
That's
It's like
it's really bad.
it doesn't even make sense. And he's like an idiot in that too. He's just like, I know that face. And then he's like, it's like,
Yeah, the scene where when Peter has a symbiote, he goes to confront Harry at his penthouse, and he's like, "Oh, she tasted so delicious. She tasted like strawberries."
oh
And then
yeah.
there's the fight scene. One thing I gotta say, I love the look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry. That's a great line. And then when he throws the pumpkin bomb at Peter, he just sends it right back at him. It's like he doesn't give a shit at all at that point.
Oh
It's like go
man.
fuck yourself, Harry.
Yeah, I know.
Like he doesn't
It,
know if he's gonna survive that or anything. He just
I
doesn't.
know.
He just
He
sends it to,
doesn't.
because in the first one you have the pumpkin bomb that turns people into skeletons, pretty ridiculous. And he just so he really doesn't know what's gonna happen when he throws that at Harry.
I know.
It's pretty funny.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I guess we can talk about, yeah, like, okay. So my idea of what like the symbiote Peter Parker or symbiote Spider-Man would be is just this angry, super aggressive, and just hostile. And instead of being all this emo, he is very he's in addition to it, he's aggressive. He wants to kill Flint Marko, Sandman,
Yeah.
in the film. But
Also, he
that's
hits Mary Jane in the
yeah,
bar scene. Yeah.
yeah. He hits Mary Jane, which is terrible too. And that's the but I think his character shouldn't have been wearing black. He's literally got like eyeliner on too. He's
Yeah.
wearing eyeliner. I'm pretty sure he's dyed his hair black. Like in any of the scenes, his hair is darker than it usually is.
Yeah.
And oh man, there's some goofy scenes in there
Like
with
the
the
infamous dancing scene, where
oh
he's
man.
dancing in the street. That was originally supposed to happen right after he killed Sandman. So you see Sandman, melt off, and he's like, "Good riddance," and then it
Oh
cuts to
yeah.
him, and then it cuts to him dancing, and I feel like that would have worked. I feel like that, the parallel between him being this angry, vicious monster who just killed this man, or he believes he's killed this man, and then right after he's dancing, he's flirting with these girls. I think that would have been that would have been pretty good,
You know what?
but on its own, it's
I
just
think
not.
it's actually pretty good though in this one too, because what in the scene before it is him walking away from Harry
Right.
after he throws the
Right.
bomb
Yeah,
at him.
it's the same
So
sort of, yeah.
and
It's
then
the same
and then
sort of
he
thing,
and
yeah.
then he goes off walking, and then he starts walking in the streets, pointing at girls, like making them
Yeah.
all like blush and like go
Yeah.
crazy. And he's just and then the dance scene is just like I don't know
Yeah.
what's he doing. Like he's a goof in this movie. He's just like
Yeah, he's a big idiot
yeah.
in this film, yeah.
Yeah, and luckily he realizes his consequences and
Oh
what
yeah.
he's done, and so he decides to destroy the
Yeah,
symbiote
rip
and
it off, yeah.
rip it off. And it's pretty that's a good scene. I
Oh
enjoyed that
yeah.
scene
The
too,
effects
where
look
he's
great for the
yeah,
symbiote as well.
yeah, I noticed that too. The effects look a lot better.
Yeah.
Um, than say like the Green Goblin did in like the
Oh yeah.
original one. Yeah. They Venom, yeah, his symbiote looks good too. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Um what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's a lot of yeah, there are a lot of goofy scenes
Yeah.
that are in the film, but there are also some, a lot of great action sequences,
Oh
and
yeah.
also that great scene in the sand with
Yeah.
where after the transformation happens.
He starts
And
to form.
yeah, and
It's so
that's
good.
just beautiful. It is
Yeah.
beautiful, and seeing him be able to, or seeing him try and grab
Grab, but he can't. It
the
goes right through
chain.
his hand. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you see that happen, and that's what creates the
Yeah.
sentimentality for his character, and makes it more emotional, and you can understand why he wants to get the money and how he's going to try and help his daughter,
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, again, there are some cringy scenes though too, even with
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man, just as like without the symbiote, where he's like where I cringed pretty hard at the one scene where he's like jumping up and down, like watching all the people coming to the where he's getting the acceptance for the key to the city, and he's
Right.
just
Right.
like looking at everyone, and he's just like ha ha ha,
They love me.
they love me.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, oh that's ridiculous. It's so yeah, and you can just tell they're kind of done. I think
Yeah.
Sam Raimi wasn't a fan of this too, and he
Oh
was
yeah.
he
Oh
was
yeah.
pretty upset with the outcome,
Yeah.
and
He
he
wanted
was
to
pretty mad.
redeem himself with a fourth movie,
That's what
but
I heard. Yeah,
yeah, it sucks that didn't happen. It's a shame, man.
yeah,
I think it truly could have been really great having an actual send off that isn't the big mess that is the third movie, right? So
yeah,
it's sad,
it,
especially knowing that it was replaced by the Amazing Spider-Man. It's
yeah,
just like it's not even that the thing it was replaced with was good, or
yeah,
was personally, I don't think it's that bad of a movie. It's okay, but it's just a rehash of the first film, the
yeah,
first Sam Raimi film. So yeah.
exactly. Yeah, another thing about I think we should talk about the final fight scene, because that's what another redeemable part of the film too,
Oh yeah.
is the final fight scene. It's very, very action packed. You got the whole city watching, and
Yeah.
Spider-Man's back. They're all happy. They're not worried about the symbiote Spider-Man
Yeah.
coming into play. But now they have to deal with Venom and Sandman, the big duo, But Topher Grace's portrayal is all weird. He's got the line. He's like, I think my spider senses are tingling.
If you
If
know
you know
what
what
I'm
I'm
talking
talking
about.
about.
Come on, man. Yeah, it's an interesting performance, you know.
And actually, oh man, I don't know why they added that in because you know who is or thought that line was a good idea was Topher Grace. He came up with the line. He's just like,
Oh, okay.
I'll think about that. You know, I'll
Nice.
just yeah. Oh man, and also the one thing I didn't understand is like they got yeah, they got like an entire like city, like a giant crowd watching over as like this like there's like a Sandman like right there in
Yeah.
front of them, and also they got like a fight between superheroes and
Yeah.
supervillains going down, and oh man, it's crazy. But other
The
than
scene,
that,
the scene at the end with Peter and Sandman where he forgives him is really good as well.
yeah, and
Yeah.
also I love the duo between the New Goblin and
And
Spider-Man.
Peter,
That's
yeah, that
great.
was
That's
great.
great
That
where they're
was so good.
on the
Yeah.
glider, and oh,
Also,
that's
the
so cool.
sacrifice for Harry was also well done. I would say, yeah,
Yeah, that was an emotional part for me too.
yeah,
I felt bad for Harry finally redeems himself because his father, supposedly hated him kind of, or
yeah,
he didn't hate him, but like more just like was disappointed in him.
yeah.
He didn't like him. And he redeemed himself that way.
Yeah, after he finally redeemed himself, he died the same way his dad did. Getting
Yeah.
pierced by the glider.
Yo,
Shame,
I didn't
man.
even realize that.
Yeah,
Yeah, completely forgot about that. Yeah, it's crazy. And but yeah, I wrote down just like Sandman is a good character because
yeah, he's good.
that final scene, where you realize he didn't kill him
Yeah,
on purpose and he didn't want
yeah,
to hurt him, and that was the original cause of him kind of getting that Harry or Peter getting that anger and wanting to turn into or becoming the new Spider-Man in his symbiote form. And
yeah,
finally he realizes, he forgives him, and that's great.
yeah.
That
It
was a
was
great
good.
scene, and that was finally what made it so that's another thing that makes this film redeemable too, is that final scene, and you see them, Mary Jane and Peter and Harry just finally
Yeah, that
together,
was
and
good
that's
as
great.
well. Yeah,
Yeah. But Mary Jane is also just a dud in this movie. She's nothing.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
so irrelevant.
yeah. She's bad. Yeah,
Screw her in this movie.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, totally. But I think that pretty much sums it up. If you have anything else to
yeah.
add for
No, I
there's
think that's
Spider-Man,
it.
yeah. So now it's time for segment top three things, where we will be discussing and ranking uh the three Spider-Man films. But yeah, actually, you know what? If you can incorporate the Amazing Spider-Man, you can incorporate the Amazing Spider-Man movies and Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home if you want into this too, because those are pretty relevant to this. And
Yeah,
if you want to change your list that way and add one of those films, because they're also a part of this franchise too, and they're pretty important. But
yeah.
um, to discuss. And but if you want to go first, you can. If you want to go first with your list of what
Sure.
if you're ranking, but yeah, you go ahead.
Sure. So last place would have to be the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Then it would be Spider-Man 3. Then I'd say Far From Home, Homecoming, Spider-Man. Wait, I forgot. Did I say Amazing Spider-Man 1?
No.
Okay, let's restart. TASM 2, Spider-Man 3, um, Far From Home, TASM 1, Homecoming, Spider-Man 1, and Spider-Man 2. I think that
That's a
would be
good
my
list.
list.
That's a good list. All right, so I'll go. Spider-Man 3 is at the last one. Uh, actually, that might be debatable. I'm actually going to change that because Spider-Man 3 does have a lot of redeeming qualities. So
Yeah.
I will go The Amazing Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man, uh, Spider-Man 3, Far From Home, Spider-Man 1, Homecoming, and then Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is
Yeah, that's great.
we got it right there. It's perfect. It's a great
Yeah,
story. It's so you have that redeeming quality of Spider-Man. He finally gets his powers back, and that's
yeah,
what's so great. That's people can relate to this character, and that's what makes it the best.
yeah.
And then for my number two, it was Spider-Man: Far From Home. Again, I enjoy this film a lot. You know, again, it's a lot of fun. You got
Yeah,
that
Mysterio's great.
mentor, yeah, and
The
yeah,
illusion scene, the big
yeah,
illusion scene. That's so
trippy.
good,
Yeah, I know
so
what you
good.
mean. Yeah, but and then also I also like Spider-Man 1 too. That's another fun. It's a great introduction to that character. Sam Raimi does a great job. He did a great job with this franchise.
Yeah,
Uh, excluding Spider-Man 3, which was pretty
yeah.
much
Which
run by
wasn't
the
even.
producers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you can't blame him. You
Yeah,
can't blame him for that one. You feel I feel emotional, or I feel bad for him because he
yeah,
could have had there was all plans to have a fourth, fifth, and sixth Spider-Man in that franchise with Tobey Maguire, and I would have loved to see that. I would have
yeah.
loved no matter what. Yeah,
Right.
but yeah, I think that um pretty much sums it up. You go ahead with your last
Um.
two.
Sure. I mean, it was Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, and Homecoming for
Yeah,
me. Yeah, Homecoming is great. Vulture is amazing in that movie.
great Michael Keaton. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's great. Spider-Man 1, Green Goblin, amazing villain. Everything with Peter and Uncle Ben, Aunt
Hmm.
May, everyone there is great. And of course, Spider-Man 2. I can't find any flaws really. It's just so good. It's amazing.
I
So
know what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right. I think that pretty much sums it up for the show today. Thank you so much, Arshak, for
No
coming
problem.
on
It
the
was my
show.
pleasure. And
It was great.
every viewer here should subscribe to Given Productions on YouTube to see more amazing content from yours truly.
All
So
right.
little ad there for my channel.
There you hear. Yeah, there you
There
have
you
it,
go.
guys. Yeah, sounds good. Go subscribe to Gaben Productions. Great content on there. Definitely.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you guys want to keep listening, you can subscribe on YouTube. I have a YouTube account. Also Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music. You can leave me 5-star review on our Apple Podcast and leave a review. My email is there will be movie reviews at gmail.com, and you can email me there. Also, yeah, you can subscribe or follow me on Instagram at the same name. There will be movie reviews for updates on upcoming podcasts. And yeah, so that I think pretty much sums it up. And of a great trilogy and a
Yeah.
great podcast. But yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you so much, Arshak.
No problem, man.
See you soon.
See you soon.